So I gotta be real honest about Thor Love and Thunder. It's just an absolute
Shut up and sit down.
Yo, what's good? It's a boy the Views, and I'll keep this movie review spoiler free. Acting as the 29th film in the MCU, directed by Taika Waititi, the movie focuses on Thor attempting to find inner peace, but must return to action and recruit Valkyrie, Korg, and Jane Foster, who is now the mighty Thor, to stop Gore the God Butcher from eliminating all gods. But I've just come out of the film theatre, and let's just be honest with this film. Let's talk about the good. This movie felt very nostalgic in the fact that we finally get to see Thor and Jane reunite. We see some familiar faces from the early Thor films, but it's truly their sort of love and friendship that really is where the heart of the movie is. I love how, despite it being nearly 10 years since we've seen Jane, I love how the film gives us very creative flashback into Thor and Jane's relationship and what happens between the Dark World and Age of Ultron. This film is just fun. I just love seeing the characters interact and talk and have humor and banter. Thor, Jane, Valkyrie, and Korg. I think Valkyrie was definitely the most funny in this film, and probably even funnier than she was in Ragnarok. The main issue I had with Ragnarok was the overuse of jokes. You'd have a really emotional scene and then it will cut with a silly joke, and that really ruined all tension. But at least with this film, whenever there's an emotional scene, they let you feel that emotion and it doesn't cut to some silly dumb joke. Some of my favourite scenes were definitely the battle against Gore the God Butcher. The hero's first fight against him was definitely the most visually appealing scene I've seen in any MCU movie. Just the way the colours changed, it turned into this sort of 300-esque grey colour tone, which really made for such beautiful and stunning visuals. Even the palace, when they confront Russell Crowe's character in the halfway point of the film, I loved the way that palace looked, and just the gold, it just looked so visually nice. And that whole scene was just so funny. It was definitely another one of my favorite scenes. Jane Foster was surprisingly a very interesting character. She had a lot of character growth and depth. I won't dive too much into what's happening with Jane in the story because that might be a bit too spoilery, but all I'll say is that I think she was my favorite character. I do like Thor, but just Jane Foster's story and what's happening with her was just really intriguing to watch. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the mixed aspects of this film, and let's talk about the character Thor. While Thor is still funny, witty, and just a charming dude, I will admit he didn't have too much character growth. He starts and ends the same. I mean, he does learn how to not hold on to people and learn how to let go, but apart from that, he is more or less the same dude. I would have loved to have seen a bit more growth and change. I know he was in that deep state of depression in Endgame and he lost weight at the beginning of this film. I just sort of wish they dived a little bit deeper into Thor's character, but it is what it is. I feel like the Guardians of the Galaxies were used a little bit too much in the trailer, so if you were going into this film expecting to see a lot of them, well, you might be a little bit disappointed. They're in this film, but not for as long as you think they are. Gore the God Butcher as a villain is an okay villain. I suppose he does have an interesting backstory and you do feel a little bit sympathetic for him with what he's been through, but there's still not too much development. I mean, the main development he gets is towards the end of the film, and I'm like, does this film feel kind of rushed? And that's probably one of the main negatives of this film. It does feel pretty rushed. It feels like there were a lot more ideas and story elements, but they were probably cut from this movie. The first half feels nicely paced out, but then it's just sort of like full steam ahead. We barely have time to stop or just really absorb what's happening, and I suppose the 2-hour runtime was probably not enough for a movie like this. Another negative I have with this film is that there aren't too many surprises or big reveals or twists in this movie. It's just what you see in the trailer is what you get. The way the film starts and ends feels more or less the same. In fact, you'd even consider the entire film to be some sort of filler episode of a TV show. Although there is one character in the film whose storyline is going to play a significant role in future films. Another negative is without a doubt how Jane Foster somehow becomes the mighty Thor. They sort of explain it, but I feel like they just sort of made up new rules. I don't know if this was established in previous Thor movies, but it's a little bonkers, the explanation into how she got that power. Again, leading to the main negative of the film being too rushed. They should have established that section more, fleshed it out and tried to make it make more sense. But apart from that, Thor Love and Thunder was fun to watch. I had fun seeing the old characters, the Guardians returning, the Ragnarok crew all back together. But I'm not gonna lie, I wish it was a little bit longer and I wish they developed more on the story and certain characters. So I'm gonna give this film a 7 out of 10 and a B+. Go check it out, I do recommend it. Tell me in the comments down below what you guys thought of this movie review. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you gonna check out Thor Love and Thunder or not? Tell me. Like this video, subscribe for more MCU movie reviews. With that said, thank you for watching, and as always, a boy did review signing out.